Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about the PlayStation 5 controller versus the base Xbox Series XS controller, and find out which one of these is more suitable for gaming. These are my own opinions on this, so take them with a grain of salt. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and let's get started with this. So when I bought my Xbox Series X at launch, I just completely disregarded the controller. I actually put it in the box with my Xbox One X when I traded it in, and that was the last I seen of it. Didn't even put batteries in it. The PlayStation 5 controller is the only controller that I have used with the PlayStation 5 since I have had that. So I've had this now for about I've had the Xbox Series X controller now for about 5 days, and I have basically been gaming on that exclusively now since then. So let's get into this. Okay, right off the bat, the PlayStation 5 controller definitely feels better than any PlayStation controller I've ever held in my hands. It's got some weight to it. It feels good. The joysticks are pretty freaking tight. I like that. I really do like that. The haptic feedback in this controller, when used right by developers, is pretty good. Like, there's been some instances where I love the way this feels when I am playing. So I do not like this controller with racing games and first person shooters. It doesn't feel natural to me, but everything else, it works just fine. The buttons feel good. The controllers, I do like the way this I do like the the trigger buttons, how they have that tension to them. That tension with mind you, this is without the adaptive triggers. Okay, I love the tension without them, so that feels good. The right and left bumper, I do like them, but yeah, I do kind of like the way those feel a little bit better than well, I don't know. They feel pretty mushy. They feel pretty mushy on this. Where this here, the Xbox controller, so I'm gonna give I would say it's a tie between the triggers, completely a tie when it comes to without the adaptive. The tension in them feels pretty good on both of them. The adaptive controllers, feel good on some games. Some games they don't feel great on. So that's where I sit with that. I would say the springing, the tension on them without that is pretty close. That'd be a tie. But the adaptive triggers on games that it does work, it is actually kind of cool. It works as a dual function. So yeah, that's pretty cool. A lot of people like that. I thought it was going to give me a different feeling for racing games, but to tell you the truth, the racing games actually feel better without the adaptive triggers actually turned on. So that part, the PlayStation definitely wins on the triggers because of the adaptive triggers. As far as the with the controller not being plugged in on the Xbox, you do get better. It does work. You do get better latency than on the PlayStation 5 controller. I feel like they're both pretty good. They're both good enough. So that doesn't really. It does, but it doesn't matter. Sorry, I'm minimizing that, Xbox, but yeah, to me, like it barely matters because it's not world shattering or nothing. It just feels normal. When it comes to the joysticks on these, the PlayStation 5s are definitely tighter. I do like that more than the base Xbox Series controller. But I do like that these ones here feel pretty good. But I do like the tighter feel on the PlayStation ones. When it comes to the D-pad, Xbox controller definitely wins that. That feels a lot better than Actually, you know what? I'm going to say that's about a tie, honestly. To be completely honest with you. Face buttons, yeah, they feel about the same. And the rumble, I mean, the Xbox controller does have pretty good rumble. It does have rumble in the triggers. It has rumble, you know, in the hand still. But the PlayStation 5 rumble does definitely feel better. So when it comes down to it, in the end of the day, with these two controllers, the Xbox controller definitely feels better in the hand. It's more comfortable to hold. But the PlayStation 5 controller does feel better than any other PlayStation controller I've ever held. So this is by far the best PlayStation controller. Aside from being comfortable in your hand, yeah, dude, I kind of feel like the PlayStation 5 controller wins. It definitely wins out against the base Xbox controller. Is the base Xbox controller bad? No, man. I mean, this thing literally competes, in my opinion, with my Series X controller. All the things I like about my Series X controller is the stiffer joysticks, and these feel pretty. They feel pretty good. They're about where I set mine on my Elite Series controller. So yeah, this Xbox controller is definitely a good daily driver. But the PlayStation 5 controller is definitely more advanced for this generation. That is the case. I still believe that my Elite Series 2 controller is better. It just feels like it's better quality and everything on that, and the more features on the Elite controller. I definitely feel like that's better than the PlayStation 5 controller. So, I mean, but I've only had this PlayStation 5 controller for a month. I've been playing with that Elite Series controller for a long time. The Elite Series 2 controller is probably the best controller I've ever had in my life, but this PlayStation 5 controller is definitely the best PlayStation controller they've ever made. This thing is leaps and bounds better. The microphone in the controller is kind of nice. When I'm streaming on YouTube and using that, people can hear me, so I mean, that's a plus. The trackpad on this, it does feel a little better than the PlayStation 4 DualShock 4. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like this more than the PlayStation 4 controller. That's for sure. So, yeah, when it comes down to it, I would say the PlayStation 5 controller definitely beats out the base Xbox controller. But the base Xbox controller is really not that... I mean, well, if it had haptics, I would... If this had haptics, I would say it was pretty close. So if Microsoft does put haptics in these controllers, and then yeah, dude, the haptics would feel pretty good in this controller actually. So, yeah, PlayStation 5 controller is definitely winning this one, but I wouldn't say not by leaps and bounds. I would say I mean, like, I still prefer the Xbox controller in my hand. Like, I like the way that feels better. I don't know. Yeah, dude, this is a pretty tough one, to tell you the truth. I think they're both pretty dang good controllers. The PlayStation 5 controller is definitely more advanced. The Xbox controller, you know, basic upgrades to an already pretty good controller, to tell you the truth. I mean, the controllers were already pretty good, so yeah. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.